All right, section 3 is where we're going to solve nonlinear systems. So here are your keystrokes that you will at some point want to put in your notebooks. Pretty similar to when we were just solving systems of equations, right? We're going to make sure that we have it solved for y. We're going to press y equals on our calculator and type in our equations and then hit graph. If we want to find solving systems, and you always want to find their intersection. So we're going to find that intersect button, and then we're going to use our commands. So again, copy those down into your notes. So our first system looks like this guy. So I see the bottom one is already solved for y. The top one, I need to minus my x squared and minus my 3x to the other side. So I would have y equals negative x squared minus 3x, and then I still have a positive 20. Now I'm ready to type both of those into my equations. So I'm going to hit y equals, clear out anything that's in there. I'm going to type in this guy. So negative x squared minus 3x plus 20. And then I'm going to hit enter to find my other one. So then I'm also going to type in negative 9x plus 4. Your next command, number 3, tells you to go back to second calc. So I'm going back to second calc. And remember, I want to find the intersection anytime I have a system of equations. So I want to find where they're intersecting, which is number 5. Then it will graph it for me, and it will show me somewhat where they intersect. Now, right now, I can't see my intersection, so I'm going to take my window, and I'm going to make it a little bigger. So I'm going to do negative 20 and positive 20 for the x, and I'm going to do the same thing for the y's. Now I can almost see it. I see it almost at the very top, which is just my y-axis. So I'm going to change my y-axis so that I can see it better here. So I'm going to change my y-axis. Oh, let's make it 40 this time, so that way we can see it better. Sorry, I needed to turn my lights back on so you can see my graph better. Now I can see my graph. I can see that it is crossing right here. So I'm going to go back to second calc, do my intersect, and I need to be on the first curve. Yep, I'm on that curve, so I'm going to hit enter. My cursor automatically goes to the other one, so all I got to do is hit enter. And then third question always is guess it. Yes. So my answer that I would write down would be negative 2, 22. And that would be my answer. There looks to be that there might be another intersection down here at the very bottom, so I would want to check that. So I might change my y minimum, let's say negative 100, just to make sure that it doesn't cross down there, because it might. And it does. See how it crosses clear down there now? So now I'm going to need to do that intersection as well. So I'm going to go back to second calc, number 5 for my intersect. Am I on my first curve? Yes, but I'm going to scoot closer to this intersection. Otherwise, it'll keep going back to this one. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter. Now it's on the other curve close to that intersection, and then I'm going to hit my third enter, and it's going to guess it. So yes, there were 2 intersections. So the tricky thing about these is they don't always show you the entire graph. So you do want to zoom all the way out, and don't be afraid to mess with these windows, okay? You can make them as big or as small as you want to, and if you're ever unsure, just keep putting in numbers, okay? But your minimum should always be negative values, and your maximum should always be those positives. Okay, pause the video and see if you can do this last question. So on this last question, top one is already solved. Bottom one, you need to do the square root in order to get that squared to go away. So I would write y equals the square root of 2x. And remember, when you had a square root, you do have 2 answers that it produces because of that squared. So therefore, we're going to have to type in 2 equations, the positive 2x and the negative of that guy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type in this top equation. So I'm going to clear out my other guys. I'm going to get negative 2x plus 6 Then I'm going to type in my first one. Now to do the square root, remember go to second x squared. And then I'm going to do my 2x inside there. I'm just going to hit that graph and see what happens here. And based off my last one, I'm really zoomed out. So instead of going back and changing my window, I'm just going to hit zoom 6, and that'll take me back to the standard window so that I can see my intersection a little bit better. And notice I can see my intersection right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do my second calc, my intersect button, which is number 5. Is this my first curve? Yes. Is that my second curve that my cursor is on? Yes. Do I want it to find the answer? Yes. So 3 enters, and then I can write down that answer. Now remember, I only did one of those, so I'm going to need to go back to my y equals, and I'm going to need to put in that negative for that square root. So I just inserted, but you can just type right over it. So negative square root of 2x. Go back to your graph again. And now you should have a curve going this way and find that intersection as well. So you could go back to calc, hit your intersect number 5. Is that my curve? Yes. Is that my curve? Yes. Do I want it to guess? Yes. And then I can write down that second answer. Now, could you have put in both of those at the same time? Absolutely. So if you wanted to type in all 3 of them like this and then hit your graph, that's perfectly fine. Just go ahead and find this intersection and this intersection. But do make sure when it asks you for those cursors, is this my curve? Whichever one it's closest to is the one it will find. So if you're trying to find the bottom one, just make sure you scroll all the way down so that you are closer to that intersection than you are at the top. Okay? All right, that's all you have to do to solve that system of equations, whether they are linear or nonlinear.